My boyfriend's mother threw me a check. 10 million, leave my son. I also wrote a check immediately. 50 million, allow us to be together. The mother-in-law immediately increased the price. 100 million. Me deal. Divide immediately. I don't want anything. I'll disappear immediately. Hahahaha, I won't regret it. 1. In the private box of the 7-star hotel, a rich woman with a rich face sat opposite me. She threw me a check. 10 million, leave my son. You won't have to worry about food and clothing in your next life. The rich woman is my boyfriend's mother. I didn't hurry to take out a blank check. Quickly wrote a string of numbers, and then pressed it on her check. 50 million, allow me to be with Minghua. The rich woman was stunned for a moment. I was proud that she was really bluffed by my momentum. Unexpectedly, she slapped the table and took out a bargaining posture. 100 million. My mouth didn't give my brain a chance to think, so I directly patted the board to decide. Deal. I was afraid that she would repent, so I kicked her 10 million and mine 50 million in my pocket in one breath. The rich woman looked at me dumbfounded. After a long silence, across a large round table for 10 people, the rich woman and I stared at each other. The rich woman couldn't stand it and reached out to me for money. 100 million, bring it. I blinked my eyes and looked at her innocently. Auntie, you must have made a mistake. Aren't you going to give me 100 million to leave Minghua? Promised. You still need 90 million yuan for me. What? Her cultivation of a rich woman has long been forgotten. You said you would give me 50 million yuan and allow you to be together. I will increase the price to 100 million yuan. You said it was a deal. Who agreed to whom? 2. The negotiation failed, mainly because the 100 million made both of us ambiguous. Minghua and I are still in love. Minghua took me back to his house for dinner several times. His mother took the opportunity to ask privately, you and Xiaohua are not separated. When will you return the 10 million check to me? I looked at her with a natural expression. Ah, auntie, I thought you agreed to give it to me as part of the dowry? She was shocked. Dowry? I told her calmly. Yes, your check and my check are all from Minghua's account. He said that the 60 million would be treated as a dowry. Auntie, you won't mind, will you? If I have an opinion, will you give it back to me? I shook my head and answered firmly. No. Joke, the money in my pocket can also give it a chance to fly away with wings. Therefore, Minghua and I, who received their dowry of 60 million yuan, walked into the marriage hall. Minghua took me back to his house. Oh no, that's my home. As soon as I entered the door, I happily took out the red notebook and gave my mother-in-law a warm hug. Mom, from now on, we will be a relative on the household registration book. The mother-in-law was stunned for 3 seconds. Did you two get the certificate? That's right. When did I agree? Didn't you take the 10 million check back? I thought you acquiesced. The mother-in-law was silent for a long time and turned around and went into the kitchen. This is acquiescence again. I jumped 3 feet tall. Then I heard her call out to her father-in-law. Husband, come and fight. It's coming. The father-in-law raised his voice to respond to her, and then walked into the kitchen. Soon we had a wedding. When I toasted my mother-in-law, an old sister behind her took the lead in coaxing. The bride will kneel down and toast the tea to the mother-in-law. Kneel? This is really a new word, but it has never appeared in my dictionary. I have never knelt on the sky, not on the ground, not even my own parents. The king came and he didn't kneel down. Even if my mother-in-law is not very satisfied with my daughter-in-law, she can only give up when she gets married. She is busy playing in the field. Our family is not happy to kneel down and pay attention to equality for all. My mother-in-law is different from others. I still look at people online. I offered a teacup with a smile. It's a sincere smile. Mom, please have tea. Good boy. My mother-in-law laughed and gave me a big red envelope. Very thick. I smiled sweeter. Thank you, Mom. I wish you always smile and be young. Then I got a thicker red envelope. After the wedding, I lived with my mother-in-law openly. 3. As usual, I didn't get up until 3 times a day. I went downstairs and started to look for my mother. Mom, I'm hungry. What's for breakfast? My mother-in-law didn't even raise her head. What time is it? It's still breakfast. If you want to eat, go to the kitchen and ask your aunt to cook it. Why are you looking for me? This tone is wrong. I came to her side. Mom, I know you care about me. You are reminding me that having breakfast too late is not good for your health. I know that Mom loves me the most. I hugged her arm and rubbed my head hard on it. She pushed me and I stuck to it again like an automatic spring. After coming down several times, she followed me. Do you care about you? Can't you hear that I'm picking your thorns? I was shocked. Mom, you have such a caring tone when you pick thorns. Do you think you are picking thorns or feeling sorry for me? Will you make a mistake? My mother-in-law couldn't tell me, so she flattened her mouth and urged me to have breakfast. I knew she cared about me. He is also arrogant. I flirted with her. Mom, I don't want my aunt to make it. What you cook is better than what she does. My mother-in-law looked at me several times and confirmed my sincere eyes. She put down the book in her hand and got up to the kitchen. I knew that she had a knife mouth and a tofu heart. I followed her like a little tail. I volunteered to propose to her. Mom, I'll help you. When I broke the egg yolk and eggshell together for the third time, I was kicked out of the kitchen by my mother-in-law. If you get in the way, go out and wait. I wanted to prepare a loving breakfast with her, but she felt sorry for me and didn't let me interfere. Mom, everything is difficult at the beginning. Failure is the mother of success. As long as I persevere, I can always beat the egg successfully. Please give me another chance. It's not that I won't give you a chance, but that the egg can't stand your waist, or you will have to drink the northwest wind. Look at the tone that cares about me. I know you love me the most, but if you spoil me like this, you will spoil me sooner or later. My mother-in-law gave me an idiotic look. In the end, I ate the loving breakfast prepared for me by my mother-in-law as I wished. For day after day, as soon as I got up, I saw my mother-in-law pedaling high heels to go out. I hurried to her and stopped her. Mom, where are you going? Take me one. She raised her eyebrows and looked at me. I have afternoon tea with my old sisters. I kindly reminded her. But it's morning now. Is it too early? I don't have to make a face and have a hairstyle. Wait, take me one, you have to take me with you, I specialize in this piece. I followed my mother-in-law into the beauty salon. After the beauty, my mother-in-law did an ion perm at my strong recommendation. But my mother-in-law looks very unhappy. Mom, I really think you are much younger. This hairstyle suits you very well. Why are you unhappy? Go here to say that my skin is dull, and go there to say that my hair is dry. Can you be happy? Look at these guys who make money without conscience. My beautiful mother-in-law is inferior. From my professional point of view, there is a place that can make you happy. So I took my mother-in-law to the clothing store. After going around and coming out, we put on sisters' clothes. Are you satisfied? My mother-in-law smiled and said, I'm afraid you don't want to see others laugh at me. Mom, even if you don't believe in yourself, you have to believe in my vision. My mother-in-law's old sisters arrived early. When I went in with my mother-in-law, they were amazed because their eyes were straight. The old sister asked her mother-in-law to sit down. You haven't seen our sisters for more than half a year. Is there a good thing for your daughter-in-law? I remember this voice, not the one who asked me to kneel down and toast tea at the wedding. My mother-in-law glanced at me. Young people have their own ideas. The old sisters are unforgiving. Oh, the dowry of 60 million yuan, I thought it was to marry a son. Nowadays, young people don't know how to respect the elderly and love the young, so they like to deprive the elderly of the right to be a grandmother. Look at the dogs of the old Wang family next door who have had several nests. I can't listen any longer. Auntie, my mother treated me as my own daughter. If it hadn't been for Minghua's pull at the beginning, my mother could have added a zero in the back. You see, for more than half a year, our mother and daughter have been together every day. My mother is a good sister who wants to take me to have afternoon tea. The old sister hummed and kept talking, and continued to pet the cat. I screamed, oh, this dog is so cute. The old sister retorted, this is a cat, it's a cat. I didn't notice it for a moment. I thought it was the next door that gave birth to several litters of dogs. By the way, Auntie, did your cat give birth to a kitten? I want to raise two. The old sister smiled contemptuously. My cat is very noble and has been sterilized long ago. I showed a regretful expression. Auntie, you are too disrespectful to this cute cat. You have deprived it of the right to be a mother. Although my mother-in-law didn't say anything, I could tell from her expression that she was very satisfied with me. 5. My mother-in-law looked at my stomach in a daze for several days. I scanned a table of delicious food and immediately expressed my position. Mom, today's food is really delicious. Don't worry, I'll finish these. I will definitely carry out the CD-ROM operation. You don't have to worry about putting it in the refrigerator. I guarantee that our family won't eat leftovers tomorrow. I patted my stomach symbolically with my big hand, and there was still enough space. My mother-in-law, who didn't pick up a few grains of rice, didn't have the heart to eat. Xiaohua, I'll make it clear. We've been married for almost a year. When will you let me become a grandmother? When will you put the baby on the agenda? Minghua explained. Mom, Gigi is still young. My mother-in-law didn't do it. 26, not small. I also want to say a few words for myself. Mom, look, I'm the only one in the family. You're annoyed. If there's another little one who haunts you every day, you won't be annoyed to death. This thin water is flowing for a long time. We have to take our time. The old king next door doesn't mind raising puppies, and I can think my eldest grandson is annoying. This always feels strange. The mother-in-law made a decision. It will start tonight. No, Mom. Minghua's plane is on a business trip at 4 a.m. Minghua was on a business trip for a week, and my mother-in-law stared at me and called him for a week. The first sentence of the mouth remains unchanged. When will you come back? The last sentence before the end. If you don't come back, I will run away from home. Then the moment Minghua came back, she finally put her proud words into practice. My mother-in-law packed up the suitcase. I just lay down and went in. Mom, without your breakfast I will starve to death. Otherwise you can also take me away. I won't say anything. Just feed me. Get up, get up. I can't stay in this house for a moment. I have to run away from home. I just can't get up when I lie on the suitcase. The mother-in-law dragged the heavy suitcase and paused with difficulty, because her father-in-law still pulled her waist and didn't let her go. Honey, I will die without you. You must take me wherever you go. Minghua pushed the door open and looked at us blankly. What are you doing? My mother-in-law first said. I'm going to run away from home. I immediately said, please take it away. The father-in-law also took the opportunity to add one. Minghua quickly stopped. Mom, don't go. We can discuss anything. The mother-in-law immediately put forward the condition. The human-making plan must be carried out tonight. Minghua promised. Make. 6. We had dinner at 6 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, Minghua and I were pushed into the room by our mother-in-law. For 2 consecutive months, we became pigs raised by our mother-in-law. Before dinner, my mother-in-law measured my stomach with her eyes. She went into the kitchen with satisfaction. But I was horrified to find a cruel fact. I actually have a swimming ring on my stomach. My mother-in-law comforted me. Have you thought about it? Maybe I'm pregnant. No way, my aunt just left the day before yesterday. My mother-in-law threw down the spatula and went back to her room to pack her luggage and prepare to run away from home. I quickly went upstairs to persuade. Mom, Minghua and I are really actively preparing for pregnancy, but this should be a matter of fate. IVF has failed several times, not to mention natural conception. My mother-in-law looked up from a pile of luggage and asked me solemnly, are you serious? Didn't you lie to me? What benefits can I get from lying to you? That's right. My mother-in-law continued to cook soup for me again. In the evening, I lay in bed and discussed with Minghua. Husband, we can't be so passive. Mom doesn't let go of this every day. I think we should divert her attention, otherwise, there will be 3 swimming rings on my stomach. Minghua didn't take it seriously. Mom really feels sorry for you. In case the east window incident happens. Minghua patted my head like a puppy. Then you have a snot and a tear, mother's knife-mouth tofu heart. This method is good, but I didn't expect this day to come so soon. When my aunt was cleaning up the room, she found the cover that I didn't have time to deal with. I just used it and it's still very fresh. The evidence is conclusive and it is difficult to fool this time. My mother-in-law took the lead and cried with a handful of snot and tears. I'm going to run away from home. I can't stay in this family. You actually joined forces to deceive me. Mom, I know I'm wrong. I don't want to listen to you. I want to run away from home. This time, no matter how much I admit my mistake, my mother-in-law is determined not to believe me anymore. 3 people became tigers and I fooled myself to the end. When she calmed down completely, I went to talk to her. Mom, what's for dinner? I'm really hungry. You love me so much. How can you bear to see me hungry? If you don't eat a meal, you won't die of hunger. I shook her arm to be coquettish. But I'm so hungry. You just feel uncomfortable in your body. Do you feel uncomfortable in my heart? You also used the bitter trick with me. Mom, let's analyze it. I've been married to Minghua for more than a year. Except for this matter, I lied to you. Am I always facing you at other times? The mother-in-law pondered for a while, nodded and shook her head. You always do it to me. I asked you to leave Xiaohua, but you married him. Mom, I married Minghua and you have an extra daughter. In the end, you still made money. I asked you to have breakfast early. You don't go downstairs until noon every day, and you still pester me to cook for you. Look at how much you have improved in cooking this year. My father will not be satisfied with it. You even force me to change my hairstyle and wear clothes I don't like. In terms of clothes, your old sisters are all aligned with you now. My mother-in-law counted my charges, and I refuted them one by one. She looked at me suspiciously. I comforted her. Mom, these are not big deals. For our high-quality life, we have to do great things. 7. Inspired by my great dream, we decided to work. The goal is to make 100 million yuan first. By the way, let's make up for the regret that we both passed by 100 million at the beginning. The goal has been set. The question is, what kind of work do we have to do to earn 100 million? And it's a short time. Why don't we start by setting up a stall? My mother-in-law proposed. I think of the stalls on the street. Those stall holders sold out a truck of things a day, plus the cars together, and it was only a 5-digit amount of money, including the cost and the labor cost. This is tens of thousands of years away from earning 100 million. Mom, setting up a stall is too far from making 100 million yuan. It doesn't work. We have to be brave and bold. Shall we also open a company? Yes, Minghua has its own company, and my father-in-law also has his own company. My mother-in-law and I can't back down. Good idea. We get along right away and we just do what we say. First of all, we have to have a company. So I worked with my mother-in-law, and she went to her father-in-law for consultation. I'm going to pester Minghua to investigate and understand. A week later, the materials for opening a company are ready. Everything is ready, only owed to Dongfeng money. Since it's our company, isn't it half the money for each person? For my proposal, my mother-in-law thinks it is reasonable, legal and compliant. The goal is highly consistent, and the idea is also on the same world channel. It's just that when we came out with the newly registered company notebook, we fell into meditation. What should we do next? My mother-in-law left the problem to me to solve. I scratched my ears and cheeks. Mom, what major did you study in college?
Jurisprudence.
With that, my mother-in-law looked at me expectantly. Philosophy. We both hug our heads and started a company. We are neither economics nor management. At least we can study finance. We can only hire someone to manage the company. This is the only way my mother-in-law can think of. I don't agree. The company managed by others does not have our characteristics. What kind of accomplishment do we have? As soon as I got married, my vicious mother-in-law persuaded me to divorce. I'll give you 100 million yuan to leave my son. Isn't it good for us to start a business? 39103 inch. Then what do you think you should do? I'm also thinking about what to do. 8. After thinking about it, I think our starting point is too high, and we need to lower the difficulty a little. For example, go to a company for an internship first and gain some experience. During the interview, I encouraged my mother-in-law and believed that we could do it. When the interviewer saw our mother-in-law and daughter-in-law going in together, he raised the frame on the bridge of his nose and prompted, "The next one waits for a moment." I explained, "We are together. We cooperate, and the work efficiency is doubled." The interviewer is here that we went back and forth between the materials in his hand, and then politely said, "We only recruit one staff member for this position and only pay one salary." So we fired the interviewer. Failed the interview. My father-in-law protected my mother-in-law's palm for decades. It was the first time I saw her hit the south wall and was so depressed. He recommended that my mother-in-law and I use the existing resources. It's really hard to break through the iron shoes. I forgot the biggest resource of Minghua. The first day of becoming the president's secretary, the special assistant asked us to copy a copy of the document, and the president will use it immediately at the meeting. My mother-in-law asked me, "What does this job have to do with us opening a company?" I tried to speculate. Did Minghua tell us to start with small things? Yes, Xiaohua pays the most attention to details. Facing a giant copier, we can't even find the switch. If it hadn't been for Dunyang's help, it would have taken an hour to complete it. Finally, we arrived at the conference room on time during the meeting. Minghua is endless on it, which is pleasing to the eye. I bit my mother-in-law's ear. My husband is handsome, isn't he? My mother-in-law is extremely proud. I gave birth to it. As soon as the words fell, the staff discussion resounded in the conference room. President, this plan is wrong. Minghua took it over and turned it over. This plan was copied by my mother-in-law and me. If there is any problem. No, be confident. If you have any questions, it is also a special information. We have absolutely no problem. Minghua glanced at me as if nothing had happened, and then calmly put down the plan. Everyone, this plan is right. I just said I can't have a problem. I patted my mother-in-law's hand to comfort her. Then he said, "It's the wrong page number in the positive and reverse pages. Please look at the screen." He seemed to know that I would make a mistake, so he made a very detailed PPT in advance. My mother-in-law and I quietly left the conference room. My mother-in-law whispered to me, "Didn't you swear that we wouldn't make mistakes?" I firmly told her, "We are right, but it's Dunyang who is wrong." She didn't doubt it at all. "Yes, we're right." 9. Minghua was busy talking about project cooperation and left my mother-in-law and I in the company. By the way, he threw 2 books to us. Secretary Self-Cultivation. My mother-in-law discussed with me. Did Xiaohua give the wrong book? It must be the president's self-cultivation, right? I shared a bold idea with my mother-in-law. Is it more difficult to be a secretary than a president? You can see how easy it is for Minghua to be a president, but there are 3 secretaries to help him. The mother-in-law's expression suddenly realized. We are thinking about when to ask Minghua to give the position of president. I saw the assistant passing by in a hurry. As a qualified secretary, we should take the initiative to help the president share the responsibility. I stopped him. Special assistant, why are you in such a hurry? I found that when the special assistant saw us, his eyes lit up. That's right. Mr. Ming is negotiating cooperation with the customer, and I forgot to take a piece of information. I have a partner here and I really can't leave. I gave my mother-in-law a look, and she nodded understandingly. As a qualified secretary, it is a matter of business to run errands with tea and water. I recommend myself. Special assistant, leave this matter to both of us. Send us the address and we will deliver it. Before leaving the door, the special assistant repeatedly told him that it must be delivered to the president as soon as possible, and there must be no gap. I promise him with the secretary's qualified cultivation that it will be delivered on time. I drove the car. The navigation is for my mother-in-law. But why is it getting more and more wrong? I urged my mother-in-law. Mom, check the navigation, right? That's right. I saw the route and came in this direction. I reached out and asked her for her mobile phone. She said that her mobile phone was out of power. This is a fatal injury. Finally, we asked a kind passerby to call Minghua. Minghua was very anxious. After learning our address, he only gave us an order. Stay where you are and wait for me to come. We stayed in place honestly for an hour. During this period we discussed for a long time. Why should we wait so obediently for him to come instead of returning to the original road? The final conclusion is that as a qualified secretary, you must listen to the president. When I saw Minghua get out of the car, I immediately went up to ask for credit. We have sent the documents. Hurry up. Let's talk about cooperation. After getting on the bus, Minghua calmly told us, no need. I'm a little excited. It's done. My husband is different. I still look at people online. Unexpectedly, Minghua told me to blow it the next moment. How much will the loss be? It's only a few 100 million. Hundreds of millions. I looked at my mother-in-law. It's heartbreaking. A few small goals we strive for. 10. After this incident, my mother-in-law and I thought about it and decided to double the self-cultivation of a secretary. Only by reading at night can we show our determination. The father-in-law yawned to urge his mother-in-law to rest, but was driven away by his mother-in-law. Then Minghua also came to urge me. I thought he delayed me to become a qualified secretary and asked him to flash quickly. He couldn't resist my persistence and left disappointedly. My mother-in-law and I cheered each other up and high-fived each other. Supervise each other and succeed together. When I was on the ground for the 10th time, my mother-in-law pushed me. Gigi, you drooled on my clothes. Get up and read a book. Although I responded to her with my mouth, I didn't seem to get up at all in my actions. Finally, we both fell on the comfortable bed. The next day, all four of us met at the dinner table with a panda eye. Minghua said that for the sake of our family's harmonious life, he announced that he would dismiss me and my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law and I just ignited the fighting spirit of studying hard, but we were ruthlessly killed by him. I can't accept it. We both tried to fight for it. Minghua decided not to give us any more opportunities. It's okay not to be a secretary. You are our president. I think it seems easier for the president to be. I think it may be easier for you two to go back to sleep and dream. He pushed us out of the study. My mother-in-law asked me melancholy. What does Xiaohua mean? You said we can't do it. He may think that we have worked too hard. He feels sorry for us. Let's go. Listen to him. The key is to get sleep quickly. As soon as I was refreshed, my mother-in-law began to mess with my plan to make people again. You have to divert your attention. Under my continuous urging, Minghua recommended us to apply for a job in a company. The president of the company is Minghua's mortal enemy. 11. With the perfect resume that Minghua helped us pack, we successfully applied for the job. My mother-in-law joined their team of lawyers. My mother-in-law majored in law, so I can understand this. But I went to the sales department, and I was a little confused about this. What are you going to do? Discuss philosophy and life with customers? No matter how bad it is, I will accumulate experience for my company. I was going to take office with a beautiful dream, but reality gave me a horsepower on the first day. A customer bought a product from us before. He found that there was an element suspected of false propaganda, so he sued our company. Today he also found a bunch of reporters to follow. The other party's microphone has reached my mouth. Tell me, what should I say? I'm also on my first day at work. Don't you know much about this place? The salesmen around me have been missing for a long time. I finally know why temporary workers are most likely to be caught out of the top job. There is no way to ask for help. I'm going to run away. Whoever you love will do it. At this time, one hand pushed away the microphone in front of me. Sir, I'm a lawyer of the company. If you have any requests, please contact me. Isn't this voice my mother-in-law? But her tailor-fitting black suit. A proper image of a competent female elite in the workplace. That I almost couldn't recognize it. Until I got off work, I was waiting for my mother-in-law in the parking lot, and I still felt that it was in the clouds. Seeing my mother-in-law approaching, I gave her a big hug. Mom, you are really beautiful today. I love you so much.
Come onorevole.
My mother-in-law's hug to me was the limit that she could accept that I was close to her and couldn't go any further, so she pushed my head desperately. Gigi, pay attention to your image, do you want to do it? Being pushed away, I persistently followed her footsteps. Mom, don't be so shy. 12. The next day, the customer who sued the company came again. With the experience of chaos on the first day, I was able to deal with it freely. I gave him a business card and asked him to go directly to my mother-in-law. At noon, when I was waiting for my mother-in-law to eat, she was late. Mom, are you busy? Well, the other party is a little difficult to deal with. He doesn't agree to negotiate compensation and has to go through legal procedures. I just remembered the customer who came to ask for an answer one after another. It seems that I gave him that business card. Can you win the lawsuit? If it were a previous lawyer, 30% of the certainty, 50% in my words. My mother is the best. Eat. My mother-in-law gave me a large piece of ribs and gagged my mouth. My mother-in-law is too shy. I have to praise her more. It's natural for me to get used to it. After lunch, we went back to our respective workplaces. My mother-in-law told me that I can rest assured to sell, and if there is any problem, she will solve it. In such a big company, the boss is quite good-headed, and the products sold are indeed legal. But after my mother-in-law's words, I always feel that I am selling some fake and inferior products. The day of the court will come soon. My mother-in-law went to court for the first time. In order to cheer up my mother-in-law, I asked Minghua to get me a seat for listening. The other party's lawyer has been working for 20 years, and my mother-in-law's first month. The gap is not half a star. My mother-in-law seemed to hang up. The mother-in-law answered the other party's questions fluently, responded freely, and spoke sharply. In the face of his mother-in-law's questioning, the other party's lawyer was speechless when asked. If the judge hadn't always reminded everyone present to be quiet with a magic hammer, I would have jumped up and applauded in the hall. The lawsuit was won. My mother-in-law became famous in the First World War. I have worked harder in sales. It's just that the customers I meet are quite a lot of. Some people discuss physics with me, and some people discuss chemistry with me, but I just want to discuss life with them. After all, I sell my car. Speaking of which, the safety of the car is the most important thing. As soon as the young man watching the car came up, he asked how many seconds to speed up 100 meters. I continued to discuss life with them. Don't look for a sister in pursuit of excitement. I'm only responsible for safe travel. In my persistent Amway, life safety is the most important thing, especially the adults who value the life safety of the elderly and children at home, have started my products. After the other party signed the contract and completed the insurance procedures, I sent them away and continued to Amway. The 100-meter acceleration is only a temporary acceleration of the heart. If the heart accelerates too much, it is easy to have an irregular heart rate. If you want to live a long time, your heart has to beat slowly. As soon as the time is up, I will leave work immediately. I met my mother-in-law in the parking lot, and she reached out and shook hands with me. Congratulations, the sales crown of this quarter. The same joy, a rising star in the legal profession. We both booked a hotel outside to celebrate. My mother-in-law asked me doubtfully, why did we fail so much as secretaries before? No matter what we do, we can't do anything. Now we do what we do best. I asked her, do you want to learn the book of self-cultivation of lawyers? The mother-in-law shook her head. It seems that I have never seen the self-cultivation of the crown. Finally, we came to the conclusion that the secretary's job is the most difficult to do. Minghua also said to start with small things. He obviously gave me the most difficult one. If you want us to know the difficulty in retreat, there is no REA New York. People are afraid of fame and pigs are afraid of strength. When we became famous in the industry, my mother-in-law and I received olive branches thrown from all directions. In the end, my mother-in-law and I refused one by one. But there is a company that is particularly familiar. I took my mobile phone and showed it to my mother-in-law. Mom, look. Why is this company so familiar? Is it particularly famous? Unexpectedly, the high salary digs us up. My mother-in-law told me calmly after reading it. Oh, that's your husband's company. I struggled for a moment but still gave up. Forget it. I won't go there to grab customers. That's right, my mother-in-law and I are ready to leave. The manager saw that we had a good time and offered to ask us to give us a raise. The salary is much more considerable than before, but it is still too far from the small goal of earning 100 million. The president of the Dednemi knew the identity of me and my mother-in-law from somewhere. He suspected that we came in to steal company secrets and wanted to dismiss us in a high-profile way. If he is unkind, we will be unjust. 14. His mother-in-law dug up his team of lawyers, and I took away a lot of customer resources from their company. My mother-in-law and I are planning our new company meticulously. My mother-in-law continued to lead the team of lawyers to fight the world. And so do I, but I set a goal for myself to strive to be the annual sales champion. On the day of the ribbon cutting, we invited friends and partners from all walks of life. When my mother-in-law's old sisters heard that my mother-in-law had her own new company, they felt new and rushed to join in the fun. My mother-in-law and I walked to her old sister's pile, and they were still talking about parents. Let me tell you, the cat of Lao Li's house next door has another litter of kittens. My mother-in-law's face is long. Gigi, I think she is implying me. I comforted my mother-in-law. It's not your business. She's implying me. Obviously, my mother-in-law didn't buy it, and her eyes seemed to sweep my stomach. Even if she doesn't say it, I can feel her desire. Mom, let's go. Let's go over there. Let me tell you, we are different now. We have started our own company. At least we are half successful people. We have to blend into the crowd of people who can earn a small goal. The mother-in-law, who was still depressed just now, instantly became full of confidence. The two of us held wine glasses and wandered among a group of people. Connections are resources, because no one knows which one will always bring us a small goal of cooperation. The mother-in-law's attention was successfully diverted. I found that she is becoming more and more like a strong woman in the workplace. 15. The scale of the company is gradually on track. On this day, my mother-in-law told me excitedly that we finally received a partner with a small goal. This is a very good start, with a feeling that debut is the peak. I don't know if I was too happy, but I told my mother-in-law that I missed the food she cooked. My mother-in-law thought about my words carefully, and she also felt that since we started our business, she didn't seem to have cooked for me again. In order to celebrate the boom of our company's business, she decided to cook by herself. Of course, the most important thing is to satisfy my appetite. My mother-in-law's cooking is as good as ever. Just smelling it can make people hungry. But today I don't give my mother-in-law face. The reason is that I'm too greedy. She has just stewed a pot of fish soup, and I want to make a bowl first to relieve my avid. As a result, my face changed a lot before I drank it. Then he got out of control and vomited in a daze. My mother-in-law was scared and thought that I was working so hard that I fell ill. She immediately asked the driver to take me to the hospital, and then called Minghua and his father-in-law over with a phone call. If I hadn't stopped her, she could have called my parents and grandparents together. As soon as the result came out, it proved that her worries were unnecessary. Because I'm pregnant. I'm going to be a grandmother. The mother-in-law hugged her father-in-law and smiled like a child, almost crying with joy. Her father-in-law made fun of her that she was not so happy when she knew that there was Minghua. I interrupted her happy fantasy. Mom, I don't think this kid came at the wrong time. My mother-in-law was worried that I would not be able to think about it, so she immediately persuaded me. It's so time, baby, you're so good at pregnancy. Unexpectedly, my mother-in-law held my face and chirped. And she doesn't blush and beat her heart. Damn, he didn't let me kiss me at the beginning, but now he comes with his mouth open. If I had known this, I would have been pregnant long ago. That it doesn't seem to be the time to be pregnant early. After all, the company has just been established. The company is just starting up, Mom. You will have a hard time. Don't worry, I have everything. I'm in charge of the company, and I'm in charge of you. In the future, I'll be in charge of this little ancestor. I, as a guardian, have been deprived of my duties. Then what do I care about? My mother-in-law thinks very seriously. You only care about happiness.